If you're over 60 and your knees hurt the moment your feet touch the floor in the morning, you're not alone. That first step out of bed can feel stiff, heavy, unsteady. You pause for a second, you hold on to the wall, you wait for your knees to warm up, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet question starts forming. Is this just how it's going to be now? Here's the part most people don't realize. Weak legs are not just about aging. They're about what you stop doing. After 60, muscle mass naturally declines, balance becomes more fragile. The muscles that support your knees, especially your thighs and hips, slowly weaken if they're not used intentionally. And when those muscles weaken, your knees take on more pressure than they were designed to handle. That pressure turns into stiffness. That stiffness turns into pain. And that pain turns into less movement. It becomes a cycle. But here's the good news. Your legs can get stronger at 80, even at 90. Strength is not reserved for the young. It responds to stimulus at any age. And you don't need a gym. You don't need heavy weights. You don't need complicated equipment. What you need is one simple, safe, consistent movement every morning, something that wakes up the muscles around your knees, improves circulation, and gently rebuilds stability. When done daily, this small routine can help reduce stiffness, improve balance, and make walking feel lighter and more confident. Because strong legs are not just about comfort. They're about independence. They're about climbing stairs without fear. Getting out of a car without struggle, standing up without pushing off the armrest, walking through the grocery store without planning where you'll sit. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do each morning, step by step, in a way that's safe for seniors and easy to follow. If you want stronger legs, if you want less knee pain, if you want to keep moving confidently for years to come. Most knee pain after 60 does not actually begin in the knee. It begins in the muscles that are supposed to protect it. The knee is a hinge joint. It is designed to bend and straighten, not to absorb twisting forces or carry uneven weight from weak hips and thighs. When the quadriceps in the front of the thigh weaken, the knee joint loses one of its main shock absorbers. When the hamstrings tighten, they pull unevenly on the joint. When the glute muscles in the hips stop firing properly, the knee collapses slightly inward with each step. Over time, that small instability creates strain, inflammation, and discomfort. This is why simply resting the knee rarely solves the problem. Rest may calm irritation temporarily, but it does not rebuild the support system around the joint. And without that support, the same pain returns the next morning. Many older adults begin avoiding movement because it feels safer. They walk less, they skip stairs, they sit more often. Unfortunately, that reduction in movement accelerates muscle loss. After 60, the body naturally loses muscle mass at a faster rate, a process known as age-related muscle decline. Without consistent stimulation, the muscles that protect the knees shrink and weaken more quickly. Circulation also plays a role. Overnight, blood flow slows. Fluid can accumulate slightly around stiff joints. That is why the first steps in the morning feel tight and uncomfortable. Gentle activation increases circulation, warms tissues, and signals the nervous system that the joint is safe to move. When muscles contract, they act like pumps, pushing blood back toward the heart and bringing oxygen and nutrients into the surrounding tissues. That simple physiological process can significantly reduce stiffness within minutes. Another overlooked factor is balance. The muscles surrounding the knee are not just for strength, they provide stability. Tiny stabilizer muscles around the hips and ankles help keep the knee aligned with each step. When those muscles are inactive, even basic movements like standing from a chair create uneven pressure on the joint surfaces. Over months and years, that pressure contributes to discomfort and reduced confidence while walking. Fear of falling then makes people tense up, which further alters posture and increases strain on the knees. The key is not aggressive exercise, it is controlled, consistent activation. A simple morning movement routine that gently engages the thighs, hips, and calves can reawaken muscles that have become dormant. The goal is to retrain the body to distribute weight properly again. When muscles share the load, the knee no longer carries it alone. With repetition, strength improves. With strength comes stability. With stability comes less irritation and more confidence in everyday activities like walking, climbing steps, and getting in and out of chairs. Over time, this daily activation builds resilience in the joint and helps restore a sense of steadiness that many people assume is gone for good. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to reduce knee pain is stretching only the knee itself. The knee is not meant to work alone. It depends heavily on the hips above and the ankles below. If either of those areas is stiff or weak, the knee absorbs extra force with every step. That extra force may not feel dramatic at first, but over thousands of daily movements, it builds strain inside the joint. That is why a smart morning routine focuses on alignment and controlled motion rather than forceful bending or deep squats. When you wake up, your joints have been still for several hours. Synovial fluid, the natural lubricant inside the joint, becomes slightly thicker overnight. Gentle motion helps circulate that fluid, allowing the surfaces of the joint to glide more smoothly. Slow, controlled movements signal the brain that the joint is safe, which reduces protective muscle guarding. Many times, stiffness is not only structural, it is neurological. If the brain senses weakness or instability, it tightens surrounding muscles as a protective response. That tension increases discomfort and limits range of motion. By moving slowly and intentionally, you reduce that protective tension. Another important factor is posture. Over time, many older adults develop subtle forward leaning or rounded shoulders. This shifts body weight slightly ahead of the knees, increasing pressure on the joint with every step. Morning activation exercises that encourage standing tall, engaging the core gently, and distributing weight evenly across both feet can reduce that forward load. Even small posture corrections can significantly reduce knee stress throughout the day. Breathing also matters more than most people realize. Shallow breathing increases upper body tension, which can subtly affect balance and coordination. Slow, steady breathing during movement relaxes the nervous system and improves muscle control. When the nervous system feels calm, muscles respond more efficiently. This improves coordination between the hips, thighs, and calves, helping the knee track properly during bending and straightening. Consistency is what creates change. Doing a movement once will not transform the joint, but repeating it daily builds communication between the brain and muscles. Strength is not only about muscle size, it is about activation. Many muscles around the hips and thighs are simply not firing at full capacity. With regular practice, those muscles begin engaging more naturally during walking and standing. This spreads mechanical load more evenly across the leg. As this coordination improves, everyday tasks become easier. Getting out of a chair requires less effort, climbing stairs feels more controlled, standing for longer periods becomes less exhausting. Reduced pain increases confidence, and increased confidence encourages more movement throughout the day. That additional movement further strengthens circulation and muscle tone, creating a positive cycle. Instead of avoiding activity because of discomfort, you begin moving because it feels supportive and steady. Over time, this steady, controlled approach builds durability in the joint and helps protect it from unnecessary strain during daily life. Another critical piece that many people overlook is the role of daily habits outside of exercise. You can perform a short morning routine, but if the rest of the day reinforces poor mechanics, the knees continue to suffer. The way you sit, stand, walk, and even the shoes you wear all influence knee stress. After 60, joint tissues become less forgiving of repetitive strain. That means small adjustments in daily movement patterns can have a powerful impact over time. For example, when standing up from a chair, many people push their knees forward first and rely heavily on the joint itself to lift their body weight. This places direct pressure on the front of the knee. A safer approach is hinging slightly at the hips, leaning the torso forward and pressing through the heels while engaging the thigh muscles. This distributes the load through stronger muscle groups rather than concentrating it on the joint surfaces. Repeating this pattern dozens of times per day gradually trains the body to move more efficiently. Walking mechanics also matter. Short, shuffling steps increase stiffness and reduce muscle engagement. On the other hand, slightly longer, confident strides with a gentle heel-to-toe roll activate the calves and thighs more effectively. When the calf muscles contract properly, they assist with shock absorption. Strong calves reduce the force that travels upward into the knee. Paying attention to posture while walking, keeping the head upright and shoulders relaxed helps align the hips over the knees, minimizing uneven loading. Footwear plays a quiet but important role. Shoes that are overly worn or lack support can tilt the foot inward or outward. Even a small change in foot alignment alters how the knee tracks during movement. Supportive, well-cushioned shoes with a stable base can reduce strain without making you dependent on rigid braces. The goal is natural stability, not restriction. Inflammation management is another factor. Mild swelling around the joint can restrict motion and create discomfort. Staying gently active throughout the day keeps fluid moving. Long periods of sitting allow stiffness to return. Standing up every hour, performing a few slow leg extensions, or marching lightly in place keeps circulation flowing. Hydration also supports joint health, as cartilage relies on fluid balance to remain resilient. Sleep quality influences recovery as well. Muscles repair and adapt during rest. If sleep is fragmented, tissues do not recover as efficiently. Creating a calming evening routine, limiting late caffeine, and keeping a consistent bedtime can indirectly support knee strength by improving muscle repair cycles. Finally, mindset affects long-term success. Many people assume that knee pain automatically means permanent decline. That belief reduces motivation to stay active. In reality, joints respond remarkably well to thoughtful care. Strength, coordination, and balance can improve at any age with patient, consistent effort. When daily movement becomes intentional rather than automatic, the knees begin to feel supported instead of burdened. Over weeks and months, this steady attention to mechanics transforms not just how the knees feel, but how confidently you move through your day. The final piece that truly determines whether your knees grow stronger or continue to weaken is progression. Many people either do too little for too long or push too hard too quickly. Both approaches create problems. After 60, the body still adapts, but it responds best to gradual, steady challenges. Muscles need a reason to grow stronger. Joints need controlled stress to maintain resilience. Without progression, improvement stalls. With too much intensity, irritation increases. When you begin a morning routine, the first goal is activation and comfort. Once stiffness decreases and movements feel smoother, the next step is adding small layers of challenge. That might mean holding a position a few seconds longer, performing a few extra repetitions, or slowing down the movement to increase muscle engagement. Slow movement increases time under tension, which stimulates strength without heavy weights. Even shifting from using both legs equally to briefly emphasizing one leg at a time can build stability in a safe way. Balance training becomes increasingly important as well. The muscles around the knee coordinate closely with the hips and ankles to prevent falls. Standing on one leg for a few seconds while holding onto a stable surface gently activates stabilizer muscles that rarely get targeted in daily life. Over time, improving balance reduces the fear of sudden missteps. That confidence changes how you move. When you walk without hesitation, muscles respond more naturally and distribute force evenly. Recovery should also be part of progression. Light stretching after activation keeps muscles flexible and prevents tightness from pulling on the knee joint. Gentle massage or using a warm compress before movement can improve circulation. Some people benefit from alternating warmth and mild cooling if inflammation is present. The goal is not to eliminate all sensation, but to maintain comfort while building strength. Nutrition supports progression as well. Adequate protein intake helps maintain muscle mass, especially in older adults. Muscles cannot strengthen without proper building blocks. Hydration, along with balanced minerals, keeps tissues functioning optimally. Small daily habits accumulate. When the body receives consistent movement, nourishment, and rest, adaptation follows. It is also important to track subtle improvements. Many people expect dramatic change overnight. In reality, strength often builds quietly. You may notice standing up feels slightly easier. You may walk longer before fatigue sets in. Stairs may require less mental preparation. These small victories signal that the muscles are responding. Recognizing progress builds motivation, which reinforces consistency. Over time, gradual progression transforms the knees from fragile to capable. The joint itself does not need extreme force. It needs reliable support from surrounding muscles. When those muscles grow stronger and more coordinated, the knees handle daily demands with less strain. Instead of bracing for discomfort each morning, you begin the day feeling prepared for movement. The combination of activation, alignment, daily habits, and steady progression creates lasting resilience that supports independence and confident mobility. Well into advanced age, perhaps the most powerful shift happens not in your knees, but in your mindset. Pain has a way of shrinking your world. When movement feels uncertain, you begin planning around discomfort. You look for chairs before entering a room. You avoid stairs when possible. You hesitate before stepping off curbs. These small protective behaviors feel harmless at first, but over time, they quietly reduce your strength, confidence, and independence. The body follows the story the mind tells it. If you believe your knees are fragile, you move as if they are fragile. And the less you challenge them safely, the weaker they become. Rebuilding strength after 60 is as much about trust as it is about muscle. You are teaching your body that it can handle movement again. Each morning, repetition sends a signal. These legs are still capable. That signal changes posture. It changes stride length. It changes how firmly you place your feet on the ground. Confidence improves coordination. When you move without fear, muscles activate more smoothly and efficiently. Reduced hesitation decreases awkward loading on the joint, which in turn lowers irritation. Community and accountability also influence long-term results. When you commit to a routine privately, it can be easy to skip a day. But when you share your intention with a spouse, a friend, or even a simple calendar checklist, consistency improves. Small rituals build discipline. Performing your movements at the same time each morning creates familiarity. Familiarity reduces resistance. Eventually, the routine feels as natural as brushing your teeth. Celebrating endurance rather than speed is important as well. The goal is not to compete with your younger self, it is to maintain capacity for daily living. Strength at 90 does not mean sprinting or jumping. It means standing steadily, walking safely, climbing steps confidently, and rising from chairs without assistance. That level of functional strength is entirely achievable with steady effort. Muscles respond to repetition regardless of age. While growth may occur more gradually, adaptation still happens. There will be days when stiffness returns or energy feels lower. That does not mean failure. Aging bodies fluctuate. The key is adjusting intensity while maintaining movement. Even a lighter version of your routine preserves the habit. Skipping entirely often makes the next day harder. Consistency beats intensity in the long run. Gratitude for what your body can still do shifts perspective. Instead of focusing on discomfort, you begin noticing improvements. Maybe your balance feels steadier. Maybe you walk a little farther. Maybe you no longer dread that first step in the morning. These small shifts compound over months. When strength becomes part of your identity rather than a temporary goal, your behavior aligns with it. You choose movement more often. You stand taller. You trust your legs again. That trust transforms daily life from cautious to capable, reinforcing resilience that supports independence and mobility deep into later years. Pain after 60 is not always a sign that you must slow down forever. Very often, it is a signal that the muscles around the joint need attention, activation, and consistency. The body is remarkably adaptable. Even in your O's, 80s, and yes, even at 90, muscles can strengthen, balance can improve, stability can return. You do not need extreme workouts. You do not need complicated equipment. You do not need to push through sharp pain. What you need is patience. You need consistency. You need small intentional movement every single morning. 5 to 10 minutes a day may not sound like much, but over weeks and months, that daily investment compounds. Stronger thighs reduce pressure on your knees. Better balance reduces your risk of falls. Improved circulation reduces stiffness. And most importantly, confidence begins to replace hesitation. Independence is built quietly. It is built in small habits, repeated consistently. So tomorrow morning, before the world gets busy, before distractions take over, give your legs those few focused minutes. Wake up the muscles, stand tall, breathe steadily, move with control. Your future mobility depends less on what you did at 40 and more on what you choose to do today.